Welcome to class number 2 of Radiant Face and Flower Medicine. And today we're going to be highlighting the eyes and the nose of your face. We're going to start with a little warm up right off the bat. So let's sit on your flat chair. Make sure your feet are connected to the ground. Rub your hands and activate these hands because we're going to be touching our faces. So you want to have clean hands. If you don't, wash your hands real quick. And we're going to be working with rocks again. If we have time, we'll do a little more with the stick as well. All right, take a few breaths. You should feel those hands really warming up now. Yeah, activated. And then let's just see an initial touching of your face and sense how does your face feel all around the ear, the jaw, just touching. And of course, this whole series is going to make you a much better lover, which is kind of fun. But your hands are going to get softer and more pliable in this series, and your face much softer too. So really wonderful things. Let's rub again, rub your hands, activate. And this time we're going to massage with your fingers, just stroking the breastbone. So in between the breasts, feel that flat bone and not too hard, just activating the thymus gland under there, activating the circulation. So I'm not kneading, I'm just stroking a little bit vigorously with my hand to warm the tissue. There's all of this energy in the heart. And it often is a little tight and sore in the chest, especially if you've been tense. The flower has been closed. This will open the flower that goes to your face. So the light in the heart moves up to the face. So we open this region a little bit gently, very nicely, yeah? Breathing. And include your breast tissue, both for women and men. The breasts are really important areas. In some ways, they're kind of like the sepal or the petals under the flower. Okay. Nice. And then coming up to the throat and stroking the throat a little bit on one side and the other. So you should feel the circulation moving now up to your head and gently. This is not, we're not trying to go in and do deep tissue here. We're trying to activate the circulation and lymph. We're trying to communicate to the body that it's safe to connect your heart and head. And it will really help if you're feeling a little blue. It will cheer you up a little too. So this is very uplifting as well, similar to that last series we did with uplifting your head and neck. Okay, now you should feel that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about flowers again today. I brought in, this is the signature flower that's on the website announcing this class. And this is a dahlia, if you didn't know, but it looks like an aster. And this is a flower that has so much color. So I wore this shirt in honor of this flower. But flowers, like people's faces, radiate a certain essence, color, vibration. And we'll talk throughout the series about flowers, but just even getting to know the anatomy of a flower and feeling how does this connect to us, okay? So it's, beautiful thing looking both at the back and the front. And with your assignment this last week was to see what flowers you're drawn to and what is it about the flower? Is it the color or the shape? So I'm just sharing with you one of the flowers that's caught my eye in this actually number of weeks now. And that is a continued assignment for you. But to just even on video, to sense the color of that flower, it stays with you. And there's an essence of it, even on video. Okay, just like in me, there's an essence of me and there's an essence in you. which is so cool. And that we don't have to be perfect, and that we have an essence that's both, like this flower, it has both male and female essences. So the pollen is the masculine essence that's out there, and the female is pulling that pollen in so it can reproduce. So it's a beautiful nature theme, of course. And flowers also have the promise of the future. And a lot of times when we feel like there's no hope, there's no way out, I turn to flowers because they remind me that they have a way of dispersing and a way of putting seeds for the future. And they have their beauty that is sort of that adolescent youth, but they also have beauty as they age. And so there's so many great lessons in flowers. We'll talk about it more in the after class part of this class. And so let's start now with another warm up and using your larger rock. And today, if you have a smaller rock that's a little bigger than your eye, great, no worries. You can get one later and do that with a smaller rock, some of the lesson I'll show today. All right, so I'm going to have you lie on the floor. And today I'm not going to lie on the floor with you because it's not necessary for me to lie on the floor, but let's go ahead and move to the floor. I'll just get set up so you can see the position. So you can put a blanket where your head would be. And I can find the width of the blanket so that your head is level, the forehead and chin. Knees can be bent, and bring your rock with you to the floor. All right, but like I mentioned, I'm going to sit so that when you watch this video at some point, I think it'll be a little bit easier for you to see. So I'm going to walk you through this warm up while sitting. And that's the other thing, is you can do this sitting as well if you don't have a place to lie down or would just rather try this warm up sitting. So take your rock. Well, before, just rest for another moment on the floor. Feel your bones, sense the contact with the floor. Take a few breaths and settle in. Flowers are practically like caffeine for me. They provide so much energy just thinking about them. And so as you lie on the floor and you think about all the flowers that may be blooming somewhere on the planet right now, wow, that's a really encouraging thought. And just to feel in your body that there are things creatively that are going to be opening to you. And that there's a timing, a perfect timing to that opening of your creativity. All right. And there's the conditioning of it and making sure you get sun and water and rest. So that's a very comforting, nourishing kind of meditation to do, just even if you're frustrated and you're not getting this creative thing you want to do, you know, whether it's writing or math or anything, that you just think of the germination that takes place with flowers, and that it's a metaphor that's used for just about everything. And allowing your body to connect to the both male and female essence. So the male is that dispersive, you know, beautiful, you know, seeds, gazillion seeds, and how many of those will take into fruition, right? Only a few, really. Maybe many if you're a dandelion, okay? But feel that promise of the flower for you. And it really, it's calming. It's encouraging. All right, now let's take your rock and let's put that rock against one side of your face. And with the other hand, you're going to touch the palm and the thumb against the side of your face. So it's kind of like holding your head once with the rock and the other one against your cheek. And very gently, instead of pushing the cheek with the stone, you take the other hand and you're just going to make little circles with that hand to move the skull against the stone, and then move the stone to a different place. And keep moving just little by little as you make like a circle and a quarter or so, a circle and a half, more than just one circle. And then move the stone, keep moving it. You could put it right in front of your ear. Maybe reverse your circle, your temple. Breathing through your nose into the forehead. Just working one side of the face with your stone. And don't forget your eyebrows and the side of your eye. So that the other hand, and you can keep reversing that circle now and then. The other hand is moving your skull against the stone. And in sitting, I kind of lean my head weight into the stone. But in lying down, you don't have to do that because your head is supported by the ground. Under your lip and under your nose. Feels really nice against the side of your nose, right against the side. And then let's come behind your ear at the base of your skull. This is a really important acupressure point area. And you can move your hand a little higher on like the temple area to get a nice diagonal connection there. And then moving the rock around the back of the ear. And this is a really important point if you have headaches. This will help relax and open the circulation back there. Okay, rest, put the rock down. Just rub your hands. And we rub the hands, remember, in front of your heart. It activates your heart, okay? It's incredible. Okay, now let's touch your face with your hands. Feel the difference now. You can even just do one hand at a time. Touch the area of the rock and feel the difference. Maybe differences in the softness or the heat. And then maybe the other hand on the other side of the face. Oh yeah, that side is like, what about us over here? Okay, rest for a moment. I'm just feeling your face now as you rest, so give it some time. So as I mentioned in the first class, your face is such a delicate part, like the flower. The skin, even men, you guys, this area is more delicate for you. Not as delicate as it is for women, because we typically don't have as thick of skin. And you know, most of us, some of us have hair, but the beard on the face makes that skin a little tougher. Okay, so now let's feel the difference in your face. Feel the right side and the left. Okay, and take the rock now and begin on the other side with the rock, just holding it there. And then your other hand on the side of your face and making this movement with your face, with your hand. Make this movement of circles against the stone. So the stone stays still and you move your head with that hand around against the stone, and this awakens the feeling of the skull and the bones under the lip here, and the side of the mouth. So if you're somebody that purses your lips a lot, this will help iron out those wrinkles a little bit. Under the nose, and the side of your nose. And remember, we talked last class how the bone is so neutral, right? It's so neutral. It's very non-judgmental, just so nice. And then up around your ear. Let's go around the ear, so behind the ear. Reverse your circles now and then. And then move up to your temple if we haven't gone there yet. And work around your eyebrow and forehead. Breathing through your nose and around the lower part of the eye and the side of your nose, underneath your one cheek. Okay, rest for a second. We're going to finish. There's still a little bit more. And then we're going to come back and put the stone behind the back of your ear where the skull connects to the neck and make circles there all around that base of your skull, even a little behind your head. Yeah. Okay, there's more we could do, but let's stop and rest and just take a moment and feel your whole face now before you touch it. Just feel it. And it's like the fluids in your face now have been connected to one another. So the lymph system, which helps remove waste products. So this could be very helpful perhaps if you get acne or something like that. Definitely wash your rock before and after you use it on your face. If you haven't this time, no big deal, but I would wash it just to make sure it's clean. Okay, now rub your hands. Inhale through your nose. And just with one hand now, maybe touch that side you just connected with the rock and feel the contact now of your hand, how much more your hand can feel. And there's a huge neurological connection between our hands and our faces, right? Because we have to be able to touch and not poke ourselves in the eye and to feed ourselves or, you know, blow your nose or whatever it is, clean your ears. Your hands know this space, but now you have a different sensation. Let's try a hand on the other side, other hand. Okay, and then rest and rest. Okay, so today we're going to work with the eyes and your nose. Very important areas, particularly for humans. Our eyes are one of the #1 senses we use for survival. Of course, you can survive without them, but we are very dominant with our vision. And so if you have a smaller rock, this is much smaller than my big rock, you could use that now, or you can still use the big rock, but I'm just showing you the small rock so that you can play with this as an option. You can still just use the big rock, okay? So let me start with the big rock, since most of you may not have your small rock just yet, but you can look for one. Okay, so we're gonna start first around the eye, and the eye socket, it's called the orbit, which I just love that name. And you know, we have this round eye inside the orbit. Just love it. So you're going to take your rock and very lightly, I'll tilt my head back, but you can be lying on the floor for this. You're going to just hold the rock against the bridge of the nose where the eye side of one side of your head, on the bridge of the nose toward the eyebrow. And this time we're actually going to just gently move the rock around your eyebrow, okay? And the nice thing about a little smaller, lighter rock is it just won't feel quite so heavy and clunky, but this big rock works just fine. And now work to the outer edge of the eye. And you could certainly, and even recommend that you have your eyes closed for this. And then to work the lower part of the orbit, don't press too much on the eyeball. It can press a little bit, but then feel the bone and don't press hard. The weight of the rock is enough to start to stimulate this area. And if you are familiar much with the skin of the face, this is a very delicate place. So you don't want to press hard and you don't want to pull. You're just pressing, letting the rock do the pressing. Okay. And then cover that eye with the rock, but relax for a moment. Breathe. And you can move your head a little bit. If you're sitting, you can kind of rock a little bit side to side. If you're lying, you can hold the rock and just gently roll a little bit, not far, a little bit to one side and the other, and just feeling the eye and feeling the rim around the eye. And one more time, just circle around the eye with your rock. And you can, I just leave my rock in one place and just move it so it's leaning against the bone. And then take the rock away. Oh, sitting up here, I just don't even want to open my eye now. And just leave your eyes closed and feel that you can take one hand and just stroke your eyebrow and around the rim with the fingertips very lightly, and see how much clearer now this pathway is around the eye. And then follow your finger with your eyes a little bit so they can move, and reverse the direction so the eye follows the finger around this circle. And then rest for a moment. Just with your eyes closed, just rest. And notice how quieting this is. And it's nice that you don't have to look at the computer right now as you do this, that we can do this just from my verbal instructions. And how lightly can you stroke around your eye again. Try it one more time with your fingertips, very lightly stroking, as light as you can, that feels pleasurable and connective, going around and kind of communicating like the touch of touching a flower petal, that this is the lightness of the touch, the softness of a flower petal. And then slowly you can feel the eyelid like a flower petal opening. Okay, let your eyes open for a moment and blink a few times and feel this opening now. And that the receiving of light, like the flowers receive light. Yeah, they open for light. And so your eye, if you kind of stroke now with your eye open, but your hand not touching the eye, just over, just feeling the, it's enough, stop stroking, but just feel the clarity that can come in now in that eye. You can see it in this video. It's just hysterical, actually. But don't look, just keep yourself focused on you. Okay, so now let's go to the other eye. Take your rock and begin to move it around the eyebrow very gently. So you remember what I said about the delicacy of this skin. Even if you are a thicker skin, don't push on this area. Just use your hand to support the rock and let it move your hand and rock around the orbit of your eye. And I'm just going to switch to my little rock just to show you if you ever want to look at the video. So stroking around the orbit. That's it. So you have to be a little more careful with the heavy rock, which is, they're both very nice. And go around a few times this orbit slowly. And then reverse directions. So sometimes going the other way clarifies the bones for you a little bit better of that orbit. And you adjust the angle of the rock a little bit when you're in that lower part of your eye orbit, so you can feel the bone. And remember, so delicate, don't press or pull. You need to figure out how to support with that hand. Breathe through your nose. Okay. All right, now just rest the rock over the eye and very gently. See, and if you have a smaller rock, it needs to be big enough for this part. Okay. If it can't touch the entire, see, this one could be a little bigger. Can't touch the whole eye. Ah, yeah, the big rock works, but maybe better for this part. So just feeling, yeah, and then keeping the rock in the center around the eye, you can kind of move it so you're tilting it to go around, which is different than stroking it around. You're just tilting it around in a circle around the eye. Beautiful. And just feel that neutral quality, and then remove the rock, but keep your eye closed. And now take your fingers very lightly and stroke around your eye and follow the movement with your eye closed, but as if you can see those fingers very lightly stroking around your eye. Breathing, and then reverse. And this is so helpful if you've been grieving, you've been very sad. Oh, so nice, so soothing, right? Or if you've been reading a lot, you know, and really focusing with your eyes a lot, studying hard. Okay, and then let's just stroke your face a little with your whole hand over your eye. Stroke your face. So nice. And now blink, blink, blink. And as you blink, let the light just naturally come in as light does for flowers. The light opens the flower, but not from effort, just from the light coming in. So that when light does come into our eye, we don't have to squint, which is important, that we can train our eyes to receive light. And believe it or not, your eyes also transmit light. I'll talk about that later, but that's an interesting little tidbit. So, but feel the light coming in without effort and blink slowly now and then. Blink slowly. Okay. And rest. You can close your eyes if you like to rest. Just feel as you rest the bones, feel your head, your shoulders, your pelvis, your legs, your arms. Feel all the parts of yourselves that have contact with the floor. And if you're sitting, you feel, as your eyes are closed, feel the sit bones, your heels, the balls of your feet. So the weight can drop and really root into the ground. This is a fun lesson you could do either seated or lying down, because flowers, you know, they come up straight from the ground. So lying down, your face is looking up toward the sun, and seated, it's the same idea. Your face is out like a flower. All right, let's do a little more now with your rock. And we're going to work now with your nose. And you can see that there is so much to do in this series. So we'll probably come back to it at another time and do some more in-depth work with the face. But right now, let's take your rock on the side of your nose, and the other hand is going to you're going to squeeze your nose against the rock. It's really goofy, but your rock, if it can go in that shelf along the side of your nose, this is so great for your sinuses, by the way. Now, we're not digging in here. We're not working deep, because we know this is delicate tissue. And what we're doing is working with your nervous system. So as you press with your fingers into the rock, okay, we're going to just kind of move your head a little left and right and push into the rock, and then pull down. So if you've ever broken your nose or had it kind of bonked where it got compressed, pull down so that it almost, if you're lying down, it would lift your head. Seated, you know, it would drop your head. This feels so marvelous and so helpful for your sinuses. Okay, so do this a while. Obviously, it's hard to breathe through your nose right now, but we'll see if it gets easier. Okay, take away the rock. Take a few breaths through your sinus. So this is a wonderful, simple way to help clear your sinus area. So let's take it a little bit under your cheekbone, and there's a line from your cheekbone to the outer edge of your nose, and hold that position with the edge of your rock, and then push from the other side of your nose into the rock very gently. Yeah, easy, easy, easy. Okay, and let that go. Breathing. And then let's do the other side of the nose. So put your rock on your other side of the nose along where the nose meets the cheek. And then your hand is going to push very gently with your fingers into the rock. And you kind of are squeezing your nose together with the rock in your fingers. And you can move a little side to side or up and down. And kind of, you've got your nose kind of in a pinch hold position. Okay. Release, breathe through your nose for a moment. And let's try it under the cheek by connecting to the nose and push and go back and forth, up and down. Not the biggest movements that you can make, but just easy movements. Okay? And feeling the contact with the bone. Remember, this is gentle, fragile kind of area. Take that away for a moment. Breathe through your nose. Okay, the last one is really goofy, but fun. So you're going to take the rock under your nose to the septum area above your lip, and it's going to feel a little fragile in there because that's where your teeth are, and putting a rock against those teeth is going to feel weird. And then your upper hand is going to pinch your nose, but you could try it. You could try it below the bone, or I like to do it right at the bridge of my nose between my eyes, okay? So I've actually got some bone to pull on, and I'm going to push down gently into this nasal septum, and be very gentle with this. If you've ever had like an elbow to your nose or ever been hit in the nose or fallen on your nose, be gentle with this. So easy, easy, connecting. Beautiful. Take away the rock. And now let's rub your hands. Activate them in front of your heart, and lightly with your fingers, stroke your face now. Stroke along your nose. It should feel really different along your nose, under your nose. Stroke your nose. Stroke around your eyes a little bit. And then let's roll up to your side, and we'll come to sitting. So take a moment, go slowly, and we'll roll up to sitting. And when you sit, I want you just to close your eyes for a moment and feel, let's rub your hands while your eyes are closed. Feel your face now. It should feel more spacious than before. Put your right hand on your heart, left hand over. So both hands are on your chest, right in the middle. Doesn't have to be to the left, just right in the middle of your heart. And feel the support now of your chest under your face, so that your heart and your face connect for a moment. You've been touching your face a lot with your hands. Now we come back to the heart to close, and tap your heels a little bit, feel your feet on the ground, and then blink a few times and let the light come in through the eyes. See if you can be a little more softer with receiving with your face, like the flower, so that the beauty from your heart can radiate through your face. All right. So that's our class for today. So next week, if you can find a little smaller rock, great. But we're going to continue with the rock next week. Bring along a small stick if you have one. And that'll be it for this class. And now we're going to open up for questions. See you next time. We put all these creams on our faces and, you know, all these things to try to make beauty last. But it's nice to have something a little more disarming that doesn't feel like you're trying to improve something, but take away unnecessary effort. So that's the idea with these classes, of just how to be authentic from your heart, what your face looks like. And, you know, so we all have like, oh, I wish my nose was more like this or that, or my lips or my eyes or my skin. But to try to kind of have a more neutral, a neutral witness, you know, to your face, which I love the rock for that reason. And rocks, you know, I'll probably have a whole series just on rocks at some point, but rocks to me are like flowers because they all are so uniquely beautiful. And, you know, they don't have to be a perfect polished rock to be beautiful. And likewise with humans, our faces are so unique. And in my mind, each one's so beautiful. To connect to your beauty, your unique beauty is such a pleasure. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah. And who would have thought that touching your eye with a rock would be so healing versus maybe some softness like a feather, right? Yeah. You know, the eyeball, part of that is, you know, and you talk about different diseases where there's lots of pressure in the eye, like glaucoma or something like this. But, you know, having a very light pressure for a short amount of time, it can be very, very comforting. There's some yoga practices with that, but you don't want to have prolonged pressure on the eye because of circulation to the eye itself. And so, as you could see with these little practices we did, you weren't very long with pressure on your eyeball, but a little bit for a short time can be incredibly clearing of tension. And as long as it's not too much pressure and too long, it shouldn't disrupt the circulation long enough to be, you know, damaging or anything like that. So, and then you learn how to touch. This is where your hands start developing some nice dexterity and softness, even in holding a rock. You know, we have this innate thing of holding something much too strong and learning how to touch even with a rock. How much effort do I need to hold the rock? This is so helpful, whether it's holding your phone or a spoon or a pen or, you know, a tool, that your hands start having a lot more fluidity in them. You know, definitely great for musicians. So yeah, really, the face can teach us so much in how to be more fluid in the rest of your body. And the eyes are like the big teachers, you know, because the skin is so delicate and the circulation, everything is very delicate around the eyes. And that's why it can be so traumatic, actually. When you have something happen to your eye, there's so much sensation in that region. Yeah. Think of all the colors in fire, right? And so the heart in Ayurveda, you know, the heart has the sun, and that's why with nourishing your face, we want to open the heart. And being around flowers, if you have been depressed or really sad, that's why often we give flowers to people that are grieving, because it helps nourish the heart and helps us grieve. But also it does remind us of the light of the sun, and the color is very powerful. So the colors that you wear or the colors that you're attracted to can kind of be a type of nourishment. And so having flowers around does nourish you. The color of them, their vitality, the vibration of them, of course, they're alive, but it's a powerful thing. And tuning into color, and we'll talk about that more next class, but how colors affect us. So thanks for bringing that out. Good. Yeah, keep with it. See what you notice. You'll get creative with how to work with your jaw. And I'll just tell you what the next two classes, we're gonna work with your ears, which will greatly help your jaw, okay? And then we're gonna work with the lips and the tongue, okay? So all of these areas, of those next two classes will be critical if you have a jaw injury, or, you know, situation with TMJ or clenching or, you know, even hearing issues and things like that. So play a little bit with different kinds of rocks too. You'll get very tuned in to how you respond to one rock versus another rock, okay? The weight of it, even the way they feel to you, you know, and then we'll talk about this more with jaw, but you can kind of hold, everybody try this if you want, hold your chin with your finger and thumb so it sits naturally in that space, and then put your hand on your cheek, and then you can move just your jaw, you see. You can move your jaw open and close, and you can move it a little bit, but don't push, just explore, and then move the rock a slightly different place. Breathe through your nose, and then you can put it on your cheek area, kind of play with your jaw. And then be sure, even though that was the side that bothered you, do the other side, because of course the jaw is in relationship with the other side. It's not just one side, and you can play with that. And this is so great if you're somebody who's really tense, or you have a hard time talking. You know, we have, all of us, different stories in our life of what kind of makes us stressed. That's it. And just pushing up a little bit underneath your chin. Okay, and that's enough. And just do that little bit. Now feel your jaw. See? Does it drop open easier, right? And this is where laughing is so great, right? When we laugh, the mouth and the jaw, and a lot of times it'll be easier to find yourself laughing just because you physically made it more possible. Yeah, you might notice, can you laugh more readily, you know, now. And recently I was around this 9-month-old baby, just incredible teacher, you know, and this baby was like, you know, all the stuff with the jaw and the sounds. And I was like, God, I haven't made that sound forever. And I was trying to do it, but not tease the baby, but just play with the baby. And I just was like, wow, you know, it was just so amazing, right? And so, yeah, you just stumble on these things in your environment, and you're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to feel like that baby again, you know. So free with my jaw, so free with my voice. Yeah, permission, permission granted. Yeah. Your assignment is I want you to go deeper with the flowers this week. And, you know, depending on where you live and if there's flowers available, if there aren't, you can always get one at the store. And I would encourage you to keep a flower around, so it's in proximity. Maybe you've got them in your yard or something right now, but have a flower close to you, and just start to get to know it. And let's see if we can connect deeper this week with the flower. I'm going to ask something a little deeper of you, and that is, what is the essence of that flower? What does that flower want to communicate with you? I'm not going to say much more. It's a little bit of a coyote question. There's a lot of things there in that question, but what is the essence of the flower to you? Okay. And this is what artists paint and musicians write songs about, and people write poetry about, and each of us have our own special connection to flowers, to people, to your environment. But when you ask the question, what is your essence? What do you have to show me today or teach me today? See what you get. And if you want to journal it, great. But I'd love to hear your reports next week. It's a super fun assignment if you go hiking or someplace where there's lots of flowers, just to pause at some that catch your eye and connect with its essence. Okay? And then play a little bit with the rock. You know, explore more about your nose and your eyes this week. We'll move into other areas next week. Sound good?
Good.
If you've ever been to a silent meditation retreat, there's a lot with transmission through the eyes, and a lot of spiritual teachers talk about the transmission that occurs from eye to eye. And there's this eye gazing practice, and it's something you do in yoga sometimes. It's very powerful. And it's really interesting with COVID right now, you know, because everybody's got masks on and you really just see this, right? And but it's hard now to not look at the eyes. And in Chinese medicine, they call it the shen, the spirit of somebody comes through the eyes. So we think about, oh, you know, you're not getting this radiant light coming through the eyes, but indeed you are vibrationally getting a tremendous outpouring through people's eyes. And it's very intimate. I mean, in a lot of cultures, most cultures really, if you look too long in someone's eyes, it's an invitation for sex or intimacy because it's too intimate. Yeah. You're looking too deep into somebody because it is extremely intimate looking in someone's eyes. And it can be invasive if someone doesn't allow you to look somewhere else, if they make you stare in their eyes, you see. So it's science has not tapped into this. It's a really good point about eyes, probably because it's too woo-woo sounding for science. You know, they'd have to attest that there is more than just electricity happening in here. But this is a portal. The eye goes directly to the brain, and that's also a very highly electrical system as well. So you've got the brain and the heart, you know, coming. Kind of intense, really, when you think about it like that. But it's this. It's, you know, this is the center of the flower. All these, you know, well, you know, this is just so radiant. That's why I call this the radiant face. It's awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Especially animals. I do so much animal scouting. You know, I'm always watching birds and little creatures. If you stare at a bird, that bird will come and look. It'll turn around and find you. And if you have binoculars, you know, if it's not long before they, you know, see that you're looking. And it's not because of the positioning, it's your intention. Yeah. Yeah.
Could I say?
That's beautiful. Something to reflect on then. So maybe this week you stay with them, you visit them a lot, sit by them.
Yeah.
You can't pick them so well, but you know, you can sit with them and learn about them and what it is about them they're telling you. I'll talk more about this hopefully either next class or the other, but there's this woman in England, she's no longer alive, but she communicated with plants and flowers. Beautiful story. But yeah, we can all do that. We all have that ability to tune in and connect with the essence of these beautiful flowers. Yeah. And they have so much energy, you know, so much energy because they are the sexuality of the plant, you know, this passion, this, you know, it's a great source for us to connect with. And that's why so much medicine comes from flowers. Literal medicine derives from flowers. So we can get, that's why I call it flower medicine, the other part of this series. Isn't that amazing how that all worked out? But yeah, so find what is the medicine of poppy for you, because it's different for each of us. But you know, what is the medicine of the flower? That's should be the other part of the assignment. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate all your input and have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next week.